Naomi's hand shook as she pressed down on the wound, blood soaking through her scrubs. The man's eyes locked onto hers, dark, intense, unblinking, even as life drained out of him. She should have walked away. She should have called the police. But she didn't. And that one decision destroyed everything she thought she knew about love, loyalty, and freedom. If you want to see how far obsession can go, subscribe right now. You won't believe where this story ends. Also tell us where you're watching from. Her name was Naomi, and this was the night she saved a monster. Her shift ended at 11:47 p.m. She was exhausted. Her feet hurt. Her back ached. All she wanted was to get home, take a shower, and collapse in a bed. The hospital parking lot was nearly empty. She pulled her jacket tighter against the cold Seoul wind and started the 15-minute walk to her apartment. Seoul at night was never quiet. The city hummed with neon lights, late-night vendors, and a distant rumble of traffic. But the street she chose was darker than usual, a shortcut through the older district. A stupid choice, she knew. That was when she heard it. A low, wet gasp. She stopped. Hello. Silence. Then another sound, labored breathing, like someone drowning on dry land. Her nurse instincts kicked in before common sense could stop her. She turned toward the alley, and that was when she saw him. A man slumped against the wall, one hand pressed to his side. Blood pooled beneath him, dark under the flickering streetlight. Oh my God! She ran over and dropped to her knees. Her hands moved on autopilot as she checked his pulse, his airway, the wound. A gunshot. Lower abdomen. Possibly an artery. Stay with me, she whispered as she pulled off her jacket and pressed it against the wound. You need to stay awake. His eyes fluttered open, and she froze. They were the most intense eyes she had ever seen. Dark, sharp, unwavering. Even in pain, they didn't soften. They locked onto her, as if she were the only thing left in the world. Who did this to you? She asked, her voice trembling. He didn't answer. He just kept staring. She reached for her phone. I'm going to call an ambulance. His hand shot out and clamped around her wrist. His strength was terrifying. No, he rasped in Korean, then switched to English. No police. You're bleeding out. No, police. His voice was cold. Final. She should have run. Every instinct screamed at her to leave. But she didn't. Instead, she dug in her bag, pulled out the small first aid kit she always carried, and got to work. She cleaned the wound as best she could, applied pressure, and used surgical tape to close the worst of it. It wasn't perfect, wasn't even safe, but it was enough to keep him alive until he could get real help. The entire time, he watched her. Not with gratitude, not with relief, with something else, something that made her skin crawl. When she was done, she stood, hands trembling, covered in his blood. You need a hospital, she said firmly. I did what I could, but if that wound gets infected, I'll survive. He said it like a fact, like death wasn't even an option. She took a step back. Then, good luck. She turned to leave. What's your name? She stopped. Her heart pounded. Don't tell him. Don't. Naomi, she whispered. She didn't know why she said it. He smiled, barely, just the corner of his mouth. Naomi, he repeated, as if tasting it. I won't forget. She ran. She didn't look back. What Naomi didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that the man she saved wasn't just anyone. His name was Kim Yi-jun, and he was the most dangerous man in Seoul. Yi-jun's men found him an hour later, still in the alley, still conscious. They rushed him to a private clinic in Gangnam, one that didn't ask questions, didn't keep records, and certainly didn't call the police. The doctor worked quickly, stitching him up and pumping him full of antibiotics and painkillers. You're lucky, the doctor muttered in Korean. Another hour, and you'd be dead. Yi-jun didn't respond. His mind wasn't on the pain or the warning. It was on her, the woman with the soft hands and terrified eyes. The black woman who had saved him when she should have left him to die. The next morning, Yi-jun's second-in-command, Jay, stood at the foot of his hospital bed with his arms crossed. We have a problem, Jay said in Korean. Yi-jun raised an eyebrow. Only one. The woman. The one who helped you. She saw your face. She knows you were involved in the clash. And we need to eliminate her. It's protocol. Yi-jun's expression didn't change, but the air in the room grew colder. No. Jay blinked. Boss. I said no. She's a liability. Yi-jun sat up slowly, wincing. His eyes locked onto Jay's, and for a moment Jay looked like he might step back. She saved my life, Yi-jun said quietly. Do you understand what that means? Jay hesitated. That we owe her. No. Yi-jun smiled, but there was no warmth in it. It was the smile of a predator who had just spotted prey. It means she's mine. Yi-jun's obsession didn't waste time. By the next morning, he had a team pulling every piece of information they could find on Naomi. Her full name was Naomi Adeyemi. She was 25 years old. She was a registered nurse at St. Mary's International Hospital in Itaewon. Her family consisted of her mother and a younger sister named Janet, both living in Seoul. Relationship status: engaged. Yi-jun stared at the word as if it were a personal insult. Find out everything about the fiancé, he ordered. Jay nodded. What are you planning, boss? Yi-jun didn't answer. He simply stared at Naomi's photo, a candid shot taken outside the hospital, caught mid-laugh with a coworker. She looked free, happy. He hated it, but he wanted it. Wanted her. I'm going to see her, he said at last. Jay frowned. Boss, is that wise? She might recognize you. She will recognize me. Yi-jun stood, ignoring the sharp pain slicing through his side. And that's exactly the point. Naomi tried to forget about that night. She really did. She went back to work, threw herself in her shifts, avoided dark alleys, and told herself it was over. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face. Those eyes. The way he had looked at her, like she was the only thing keeping him alive. It terrified her. And part of her, God help her, couldn't stop thinking about it. 3 days later, everything changed. She was in the middle of checking a patient's vitals when her supervisor, Nurse Kim, pulled her aside. Naomi, we have a new patient in room 12. VIP case. He specifically requested you. Naomi frowned. Requested me? Why? Nurse Kim shrugged. Don't know. Don't care. Mrs. Han approved it. Just go. Naomi's stomach twisted, but she nodded. She walked down the hall with her clipboard clutched in her hand, trying to shake the uneasy feeling crawling up her spine. She pushed open the door to room 12, and her blood ran cold. It was him, the man from the alley, sitting up in bed, bandaged and bruised, but very much alive, and smiling. Hello, Naomi. For a moment, Naomi couldn't breathe. The clipboard slipped from her fingers and clattered to the floor. You, she whispered. He tilted his head slightly, that same unsettling smile playing on his lips. You remember me, he said. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. Her legs wanted to run, but her feet stayed planted. Professional training ward with pure survival instinct. What are you doing here? She managed to ask, her voice steadier than she felt. I got hurt, he said simply, gesturing to his bandaged torso. I needed medical attention. There are dozens of hospitals in Seoul, but only one has you. The way he said it made her skin prickle. She bent down, picked up her clipboard with trembling hands, and forced herself to look professional. I need to check your vitals, she said curtly. Of course. She approached the bed, every nerve in her body screaming at her to maintain distance. But she was a nurse. This was her job. She wrapped the blood pressure cuff around his arm, deliberately avoiding his eyes. How did you find me? She asked quietly. Your uniform. That night. It had the hospital name. Her hands froze on the cuff. You came here because of me? Yes. There was no hesitation. No shame. She pumped the cuff, watching the gauge, trying to focus on numbers instead of the panic rising in her chest. Your blood pressure is slightly elevated, she said mechanically. Heart rate is. Why did you save me? She looked up. His eyes bored into hers with an intensity that made her want to look away, but she couldn't. Because that's what I do, she said. I'm a nurse. You could have called the police. Let them handle it. You asked me not to, and you listened. She stopped herself. Why had she listened? You were dying, she said instead. People die every day. Not on my watch, she replied quietly. If I can help it. Something flickered across his expression. Surprise, perhaps, or fascination. What's your name? Naomi asked, even though part of her didn't want to know. Kim Yi-jun. The name meant nothing to her then. She had no idea who he was, what he did, or why guards were stationed outside his door. Well, Mr. Kim, she said, keeping her tone professional, you need rest. I'll check on you in a few hours. She turned to leave. Naomi. She stopped but didn't turn around. Thank you, he said, for saving my life. She left without responding. Naomi went straight to the staff lounge and collapsed into a chair. You okay? Nurse Kim asked, pouring herself a cup of coffee. That patient in room 12, Naomi said. Who is he? Nurse Kim shrugged. Some rich guy. VIP. Mrs. Han handled the admission personally. Mrs. Han, the hospital's owner, sharp as a blade and twice as dangerous when it came to business. As if summoned by the thought, the lounge door opened and Mrs. Han herself walked in, a tablet in her hand, reading glasses perched on her nose. She was 60, elegant and terrifying. Naomi, she said without looking up. My office. Now. Naomi's stomach dropped. Mrs. Han's office sat on the top floor, all glass and minimalist design. She took her seat behind the desk and gestured for Naomi to sit. The patient in room 12, Mrs. Han began. Kim Yi-jun. Do you know who he is? No, ma'am. Mrs. Han studied her for a long moment. 3 days ago, this hospital was 45 million won in debt, she said. Creditors were circling. I was considering selling. Naomi's eyes widened. She had no idea things were that bad. This morning, Mrs. Han continued, I received a bank notification. The entire debt was paid. In full. Anonymously. That's wonderful. It was Kim Yi-jun. The words hit Naomi like ice water. What? Mrs. Han leaned forward. I made inquiries. Discreet ones. The payment was traced back to one of his shell companies. But why would he? Because of you. Naomi stood up so fast that her chair scraped loudly against the floor. That's impossible, she said. I barely know him. He paid 45 million won to clear this hospital's debt. Mrs. Han cut in, her voice sharp. Because you work here. Because he wants access to you. Naomi's head spun. I don't understand. We met one time. I treated as wound. That's it. Mrs. Han removed her glasses and studied her with something close to amusement. Naomi, I've been alive for 60 years. I've seen obsession before. That man is obsessed with you. That's insane. Is it? Mrs. Han stood and walked to the window. A man who could afford any hospital, any doctor, deliberately gets himself admitted here and requests you by name. He pays off millions in debt without being asked. Those are not the actions of a grateful patient. Naomi sank back into the chair, her thoughts spiraling. What do I do? Mrs. Han smiled. Not kindly, but like someone watching an intriguing drama unfold. You do your job. You treat him professionally. And you are very, very careful. Naomi swallowed. Should I be scared of him? Mrs. Han considered the question. Kim Yi-jun is dangerous, she said at last. But I don't think he wants to hurt you. I think he wants to own you, which in some ways is worse. While Naomi reeled from Mrs. Han's revelation, Yi-jun was conducting his own research. He sat upright in his hospital bed, a laptop open in front of him, reviewing the files his team had compiled. Naomi Adeyemi, 25 years old, born in Nigeria, moved to South Korea 4 years earlier for nursing school, graduated top of her class. Work ethic, exemplary. Personal life, quiet, private, and engaged. Engaged to a man named David Okonkwo, also Nigerian, employed in finance. Yi-jun clicked on David's photo. Average. Unremarkable. Safe. Everything Yi-jun was not. What does she see in him, he muttered. Jay, standing guard near the door, shifted uncomfortably. Boss. Maybe she values stability, he said. Safety. Yi-jun's eyes darkened. Safety is an illusion. Stability is boring. Maybe that's what she wants. Then I'll show her something better. Jay said nothing. He knew better than to argue when Yi-jun's tone turned like that. Yi-jun continued scrolling through the files. Naomi's younger sister, Janet, also lived in Seoul. She worked in retail. Her social media presence was active. Her personality profile marked her as very different from Naomi. Yi-jun found it interesting. He closed the laptop and leaned back against the pillows. Arrange for flowers to be delivered to her apartment, he said. No card. Jay hesitated. Boss. And have someone follow David. Yi-jun continued calmly. I want to know everything he does. Where he goes. Who he sees. Jay's eyes narrowed. You're going after her fiancé? Yi-jun's lips curved into a cold smile. I'm going to give Naomi a reason to leave him. For the next 3 days, Naomi did everything she could to maintain professional distance. She checked Yi Jun's vitals, changed his bandages, and administered his medication with clinical efficiency. And the entire time, he watched her, not in a way that was openly aggressive, not in a way she could easily call out, just constantly, as if she were the most fascinating thing he had ever seen. It unsettled her more than outright hostility would have. On the fourth day, her restraint finally cracked. "Why do you keep staring at me?" she demanded, setting the blood pressure monitor down harder than necessary. "Because you're beautiful." She froze. "That's inappropriate." "It's the truth." "Mr. Kim." "Yi Jun," he corrected. "Call me Yi Jun." "Mr. Kim," she repeated firmly. "I'm your nurse. This relationship is professional. Nothing more. Is it?" "Yes." He shifted, sitting up straighter despite the pain pulling at his side. "You saved my life, Naomi," he said. "That's not professional. That's personal. I was doing my job." In a dark alley at midnight, he interrupted. "That wasn't your job. That was a choice." She opened her mouth to argue, but he didn't give her the chance. "You chose to help me. You chose to trust me when I told you not to call the police. You chose to give me a chance to live. I would have done that for anyone. But you did it for me." The certainty in his voice, so calm, so possessive, sent her heart racing in a way she didn't want to examine too closely. Naomi blurted it out before she could stop herself. "I'm engaged." Silence filled the room. Yi Jun's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. "I know." Her breath caught. "You know." "Yes." "Ow." He didn't answer. Cold realization washed over her. "You investigated me." Still nothing. "You had someone look into my life," she pressed. "My background. My—" "Yes." There was no shame in it. No apology. She stepped back, disgust and fear colliding in her chest. "You have no right. I have every right to know about the woman I can't stop thinking about." "Stop." "I can't." "You have to." "I won't." He rose from the bed, and she instinctively retreated another step. He noticed, and for the first time, something like hurt crossed his face. "I'm not going to hurt you, Naomi. You're scaring me. I don't want to scare you. I want you to see me." "I see you," she said, her voice shaking but firm. "I see someone who pays off hospital debts to manipulate access to people. Someone who investigates strangers. Someone who is completely, utterly obsessed with you," he finished quietly. The blunt honesty stunned her into silence. "I know it's wrong," he continued. "I know it isn't normal. I know you're engaged. I know all of that." He took a careful step closer. "But I can't help it. From the moment you touched me in that alley, when you chose to save me instead of walking away, something changed. You're my head, Naomi. You're my blood. This is insane. I know. You need help. I need you." Naomi's voice rose despite herself. "I'm engaged." "Then leave him." The sheer audacity of it stole her breath. "Or don't," he added, his voice dropping. "Stay with him. Marry him. But let me stay in your life." "As what?" His eyes met hers, steady and unflinching. "As whatever you'll allow." She should have reported him. She should have requested a transfer. She should have run. But there was something in his gaze, raw, desperate, almost vulnerable, that made her hesitate. "If I agree to this," she said slowly, "there are rules." Hope flared across his face. "Anything. No more investigations. No more following me. No more paying off debts or manipulating situations." "Agreed. We talk like normal people. You don't show up at my apartment. You respect my boundaries." "Yes. And you understand that I'm engaged. That I love David. That this," she gestured between them, "whatever this is, doesn't change that." Something dark flickered across his expression at the mention of David, but he nodded. "I understand." She drew in a deep breath. "Okay. We could try to be friends." "Friends," he repeated, as if testing the word. "Yes. Friends." He smiled, and for the first time, it looked genuine. "I'll take it." But as Naomi left the room, a heavy unease settled in her chest. Because the look in his eyes when she had said friends wasn't the look of someone satisfied with friendship. It was the look of someone who was willing to wait. For now. 2 weeks passed. Yi Jun was discharged from the hospital, but he didn't disappear the way Naomi had hoped he would. He called her every day. At first, the conversations were brief. He asked how her shift went, whether she had eaten, if she was sleeping enough. Small talk. Safe talk. But gradually they grew longer. Deeper. He told her about growing up in Seoul, about his family's crushing expectations, about feeling trapped in a life he had never chosen for himself. He never mentioned what he did for a living, and she never asked. Maybe she didn't want to know. David noticed the change in her. "You've been distracted lately," he said one evening as they sat across from each other at their favorite restaurant in Gangnam. Naomi looked up from her bibimbap. "I'm just tired. Long shifts. Is that all? What else would it be?" He reached across the table and took her hand. "I don't know," he said gently. "You just seem different, like your mind is somewhere else." Guilt twisted in her stomach. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'll try to be more present." He smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "I love you, Naomi. I love you too." The words came out automatically, rehearsed. She wondered when that had happened. The next day, Yijun called during her lunch break. "I want to see you," he said. "We talk every day. On the phone. I want to see you in person." "Yijun, please. Just coffee. 1 hour." She hesitated. "As friends," he added. "As friends," she repeated firmly. "Yes, as friends." She closed her eyes. She knew it was a bad idea. "Okay, 1 hour. There's a cafe near the hospital. I'll pick you up after your shift." "No, I'll meet you there." There was a brief pause. "All right," he said. "I'll send you the address." The cafe was small and quiet, tucked away in Itaewon, far from the main streets. Naomi arrived first and ordered a latte, choosing a table by the window. 10 minutes later, Yijun walked in. He looked different outside the hospital, sharper, more dangerous. He wore black from head to toe, the expensive kind that spoke of money and power without trying too hard. Heads turned as he entered, women especially taking notice. But his eyes went straight to her. "Naomi," he said as he slid into the seat across from her. "Hi." He ordered an Americano, then turned his full attention back to her. "How are you?" "I'm fine." "You?" "Better now." She took a sip of her latte, using it as an excuse to avoid his gaze. "I've been thinking," he said. "About what?" "About us." "There is no us." "About our friendship," he corrected smoothly. She relaxed a fraction. "Okay. I want to be honest with you about something." Her stomach tightened. "What?" He leaned forward. "When you agreed to stay in my life, when you said we could try being friends, I said yes because I was desperate. I would have agreed to anything just to keep you near me. Yijun. But I need to clarify something," he continued calmly, "because I don't want there to be any misunderstanding between us." Naomi's fingers tightened around her cup. "What do you mean?" His eyes locked onto hers. "When you said, 'Let's be friends,' I heard, 'Let's be together.'" The cafe seemed to fall silent. "What?" Naomi whispered. "I thought you were agreeing to be with me, to give us a chance, as lovers." Her hand trembled, nearly spilling her latte. "That's not what I said. I know that now. But in that moment, I heard what I wanted to hear. Yijun, I explicitly said I'm engaged." "I know. I said I love David." "I know. Then how could you possibly think?" "Because I wanted it to be true so badly that I convinced myself it was." Naomi stood up, her chair scraping backward. "This was a mistake. I shouldn't have come." "Naomi, wait. No. This is exactly why we can't be friends. You're not listening to me. You're hearing what you want to hear." He stood as well, blocking her exit. "You're right. I'm sorry. Please sit down. Move. I'll respect your boundaries. I promise. Just please don't leave like this." Something in his voice made her pause. Against her better judgment, she sat back down. He did the same, running a hand through his hair. "I'm not good at this," he admitted. "At what?" "At wanting something I can't have." They sat in tense silence for a moment before Yijun spoke again, his voice quieter. "When I said I wanted us to be friends, I lied." Her heart sank. "I don't want to be your friend, Naomi. I want to be the person you think about when you wake up. The person you call when something good happens. The person you choose. I've already chosen someone." "Have you?" "Yes, David. I'm engaged to David." "So leave him." "I love him." "Do you? Or do you love the idea of him? The safety? The normalcy?" "How dare you?" "I'm not trying to insult you. I'm trying to make you see that what you have with him is comfortable. But is it alive? Does it set your soul on fire?" "Not everything has to be fire, Yijun. Sometimes comfortable is good. Sometimes safe is what people need." "Is that what you need?" Or is that what you've convinced yourself you need? Naomi stood again, more forcefully this time. I need to go. Naomi. No. This is over. The phone calls, the coffee, all of it. I can't do this. Please. I'm engaged, she nearly shouted. People in the cafe turned to look. I'm getting married in 6 months. I love David, and I need you to respect that. His face hardened. And if I can't, then we're done. She walked out of the cafe, her whole body shaking. Behind her, she heard him say something, but she didn't stop to listen. Yijun remained alone in the cafe long after she left. His coffee had gone cold. His phone buzzed. A message from Jay. We have something on the fiancé. You need to see this. Yijun's jaw tightened. He left money on the table and walked to the black car waiting at the curb. Inside, Jay handed him a tablet. We've been following David Okonkwo for 2 weeks, as you requested. And he's been meeting with someone. Regularly. Always at the same hotel in Gangnam. Yijun's eyes narrowed. Who? Jay swiped to the next photo. Yijun's blood ran cold. It was a woman. Young. Pretty. And unmistakably similar to Naomi in features. Who is she? Yijun asked, his gaze fixed on the screen. Janet Adeyemi. Naomi's younger sister. He studied the photo. David and Janet walking into a hotel together. David's hand resting on her lower back. Another photo showed them in a parking garage, kissing. Another. David's car parked outside Janet's apartment building at 2 a.m. How long has this been going on? Yijun asked, his voice deadly calm. At least 3 months. Maybe longer, Jay replied. Yijun's hands clenched into fists. Does Naomi know? We don't think so. They've been very careful. Yijun sat back, his mind racing. This was it. This was the opening he needed. Give me video evidence. Clear footage. I want audio if possible. Boss, are you sure? Do it. Jay nodded and made the call. Yijun stared out the window, expression unreadable. I told her I'd respect her boundaries, he murmured. Sir, but I never said I'd respect his. 3 days later, Jay called. We have it. Video. Audio. Everything. Send it to me. Yijun watched the footage on his laptop. David and Janet in a parking garage, kissing, touching, laughing. Then he listened to the audio. Afterward, he closed the laptop, his hands trembling with rage, not just at David's betrayal, but at Janet's, Naomi's own sister. He picked up his phone and called Naomi. She didn't answer. He called again, and again. On the 4th call, she finally picked up. What do you want, Yijun? I told you we're done. I need to see you. No. Naomi, please. This is important. If it's another declaration of love, I don't want to hear it. It's about David. Silence. What about David? I need to show you something. In person. Yijun, if this is some kind of trick. It's not. I swear to you, this is not a trick. But you need to see this. She hesitated, her breathing audible. Where? My apartment. I'll send you the address. Absolutely not. In a public place. Anywhere you want. But Naomi, he paused. You need to see this. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. Another long pause. The park. Han River Park. 1 hour. I'll be there. She hung up. Yijun sat back, his laptop containing the damning evidence resting on his desk. He felt no guilt, only grim satisfaction. She needed to know the truth. And once she did, everything would change. The park glowed in the late afternoon sun. Families played, couples walked hand in hand, cyclists passed by. Naomi stood by the railing overlooking the Han River, arms crossed, face guarded. Yijun approached slowly, tablet in hand. Thank you for coming, he said. What is this about, Yijun? He handed her the tablet without a word. She looked at him suspiciously, then down at the screen. The video was cued and ready to play. She pressed play. Yijun watched her face as the footage unfolded. Confusion came first, then recognition, then horror. Her hand flew to her mouth. No, she whispered. The video continued, David and Janet, kissing, touching. Then the audio played. When are you going to tell her? Janet asked. Sometime soon. I just need to find the right moment, David replied. You've been saying that for months. I know, baby. I know. But Naomi, she's invested so much in this wedding. I don't want to hurt her. But you're okay with cheating on her. It's different with you. With her, it's obligation. Comfort. But with you, it's real. Janet laughed softly. You're such a liar. But I love you anyway. The tablet slipped from Naomi's fingers. Yijun caught it before it hit the ground. Naomi stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. That's my sister, she said, her voice breaking. I know, Yijun said quietly. And David. I know. She turned to him, devastation etched into her features. How long have you known? I had him followed. For 2 weeks. She stopped, the weight of everything crashing down on her, too overwhelmed to summon anger over the invasion of privacy. How long has this been happening? At least 3 months. Maybe longer. A sound tore from her throat, half sob, half gasp, as she collapsed against the railing. Yijun moved instinctively to steady her, but she raised a trembling hand. Don't touch me. He stopped at once, stepping back and giving her space. She stood there shaking, crying silently, staring at the river, as if it might swallow her pain. My sister, she whispered. My own sister. I'm sorry. She let out a bitter laugh. Are you? Or are you happy? Now you can swoop in and... I'm not happy, Naomi, Yijun said, his voice tight. I'm furious. At him. At her. At what they've done to you. But you're glad, aren't you? She pressed. Glad that he's out of the picture. Yijun was silent for a moment. I won't lie to you, he said at last. I won't pretend I'm not relieved that you know the truth. But I'm not glad about how you found out. And I'm not glad that you're hurting. Naomi wiped at her tears with the back of her hand. I need to go. Naomi. I need to confront them. I need to... Her voice broke. I need to see this for myself. Let me come with you. She looked at him sharply. Why? Because you shouldn't face this alone. I've always faced things alone. Not anymore. She studied his face, her eyes red and swollen. Why do you care so much? Because you're mine, Yijun said simply. And someone hurt what's mine. That's unforgivable. Under any other circumstances, his possessiveness would have terrified her. But with her world collapsing around her, it felt, unexpectedly, like an anchor. Okay, she whispered. Come with me. Yijun's car was sleek and black, the kind that cost more than most people earned in a year. Naomi sat in the passenger seat, numb, her hands trembling uncontrollably. David. Her David. The man she had planned to marry in 6 months. And Janet. Her baby sister. The girl she had helped raise after their father died. Together. For 3 months. Maybe longer. Where does he live? Yijun asked calmly. Naomi gave him the address in Gangnam, David's apartment. The one she had helped decorate. The one where she kept spare clothes in the closet. The one where he had probably been bringing her sister. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. Yijun reached over and took her hand. She should have pulled away, but she didn't. His grip was warm and steady. When we get there, he said quietly, I need you to let me handle things if they turn violent. I'm not going to be violent. I wasn't talking about you. Naomi looked at him. His jaw was clenched, his eyes dark. Yijun, you can't hurt him. I won't. Unless he gives me a reason to. What does that mean? It means if he raises his voice at you, if he tries to blame you, if he does anything that makes you feel worse than you already do. He glanced at her. I'll make him regret it. There was something terrifying about how calmly he said it, and something protective, too. I just want answers, Naomi said. I need to understand why. There is no why that will make this hurt less. I still need to hear it. Yijun nodded, squeezed her hand once, then let go. They drove the rest of the way in silence. David's apartment building was modern and expensive. Naomi had been there 100 times, but walking through the lobby now felt like entering a stranger's home. They took the elevator to the 8th floor. Naomi's heart pounded with each number that lit up. Yijun stood beside her, silent but solid. The elevator chimed. They walked down the familiar hallway to David's door. Naomi raised her hand to knock, then hesitated. Once you knock on that door, Yijun said softly, everything changes. Are you ready? She wasn't, but she needed to do this. Naomi knocked. Footsteps sounded inside, followed by David's voice. Just a second. He sounded happy, relaxed. The door opened. David stood there in sweatpants and a t-shirt, smiling, until he saw her. The smile faltered. Naomi? I wasn't expecting you. His gaze shifted to Yijun. Who's this? Can we come in? Naomi asked, surprised by the steadiness of her voice. Now's not really a good time. I don't care. We need to talk. She stepped past him into the apartment. And there, sitting on the couch, David's couch, where Naomi had sat 100 times, was Janet. She was wearing one of David's shirts. Just a shirt. Janet's face drained of color when she saw Naomi. Naomi. Don't. Naomi said coldly. Don't say my name right now. David closed the door, his eyes darting between Naomi and Yijun. What's going on? Naomi pulled out her phone. Yijun had sent her the video earlier. She pressed play and held the screen out toward David. His own voice filled the apartment. David's face collapsed. Janet stood up quickly, tugging the shirt down. Naomi, let me explain. The word had barely left her mouth before Naomi crossed the room. Everything she had been holding back, the grief, the betrayal, the rage, burst free. Naomi's hand connected with Janet's face. The slap echoed through the apartment. Janet stumbled backward, her hand flying to her cheek. Naomi, David shouted. But Naomi wasn't done. She grabbed Janet by the shoulders and shook her, rage pouring out of her. You're my sister, she screamed. My sister. Naomi, stop. Janet tried to pull away. Naomi slapped her again, harder this time. I trusted you. I loved you. I sacrificed everything for you. Please. Another slap. David rushed forward. Naomi, that's enough. Yijun moved instantly, gripping David by the collar and yanking him back. She's not finished, Yijun said coldly. Naomi shoved Janet, sending her falling back onto the couch. She stood there, breathing hard, her hands shaking. Explain. Naomi turned to her, something breaking in her chest. Explain what, Janet? Explain how you've been sleeping with my fiancé for months. Explain how you're my sister and you betrayed me. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Then how was it supposed to happen? Janet had no answer. Naomi turned to David. You told me you loved me. Every day. You asked me to marry you. I said yes. We planned a wedding. Naomi, I do love you. Her fist connected with his jaw, making him stumble back. Don't you dare, she said, her voice shaking with fury. Don't you dare say you love me while wearing the same clothes you wore to bed with my sister. David flinched. How long? Naomi demanded. And don't lie. How long has this been going on? David and Janet exchanged a glance. For months, Janet whispered. For months. They had been engaged for 8. Were you ever going to tell me? Naomi asked. I wanted to, David said weakly. I just didn't know how. How about? Naomi, I'm a lying, cheating coward who's sleeping with your sister. Behind her, Yijun let out a sound that was almost a laugh. David's eyes snapped toward him. Who the hell is this guy? Someone who actually cares about her. Yijun replied coldly. This is between me and Naomi. No, Yijun cut in, stepping forward. This is between a man who betrayed a woman's trust and the consequences of that betrayal. You don't know anything about us. I know you're a coward, Yijun said evenly. I know you're standing here, trying to justify the unjustifiable. And I know that if you say one more word that hurts her, you'll regret it. The threat was unmistakable. David took a step back. Naomi looked at Janet, her baby sister, and felt her heart shatter completely. What? Naomi asked her. Just tell me why. Janet's eyes filled with tears. Because you have everything, she said bitterly. You've always had everything. You're the smart one, the successful one, the one Mom is proud of. I'm just Janet, the screw-up, the one who couldn't even finish university. So you took my fiancé. I didn't mean to fall for him. You didn't fall for him, Janet. You chose this. You chose to betray me. You don't understand what it's like, Janet said, her voice rising. Living in your shadow, always being compared to you. Why can't you be more like Naomi? Why can't you be responsible like Naomi? So this is my fault. No but. There is no but. Naomi shouted. I loved you. I took care of you. When Dad died, I worked 2 jobs to help pay for your school. I sent money home for you. I brought you to Korea so you could have a better life. And this is how you repay me. Janet started crying. Naomi felt nothing. She walked to the door, then turned back. Janet, pack your things. You have until tomorrow to get out of your apartment. What? Naomi, I can't afford. I pay your rent, Naomi said flatly. Or did you forget that too? Consider this your eviction notice. You can't do that. Watch me. Naomi pulled off her engagement ring and threw at David. It hit his chest and fell to the floor. "We're done," she said. She looked at Yi-jun. "Let's go." As they walked to the door, Yi-jun turned back to David and Janet. He was smiling. Actually smiling. "That," he said, "was beautiful." Then they left. Naomi made it to the elevator before she collapsed. Her legs gave out, and she slid down the wall, sobbing. Yi-jun knelt beside her, not touching her, just there. "Breathe," he said gently. "Just breathe." "I can't," she gasped. "I can't breathe." "Yes, you can. In through your nose. Out through your mouth." She tried to follow his instructions, but the pain in her chest was overwhelming. For months. They had been together for 4 months. While she had been planning a wedding. While she had been choosing flowers and cake flavors and seating arrangements. While she had been dreaming about a future that had already been dead. "I'm so stupid," she sobbed. "No," Yi-jun said quietly. "You're not stupid. You're trusting. There's a difference." "I should have seen it." "How?" he asked. "You're not a mind reader. You believe the people you loved. That's not stupidity. That's faith." "Well, my faith was misplaced." "Yes," he agreed. "It was. But that's their failure, not yours." The elevator dinged. Someone stepped out onto their floor. Footsteps followed, then David's voice. "Naomi, wait." Yi-jun stood, positioning himself between them. "I suggest you go back inside." Yi-jun said, his voice deadly calm. "This doesn't concern you. Everything concerning her concerns me." "Naomi," David tried to peer around him. "Please, can we just talk? Let me explain." "Explain what?" Naomi said from the floor, her voice raw. "Explain how you fell into bed with my sister. Explain how you accidentally kept sleeping with her for 4 months. There's nothing to explain, David. You made your choice. I made a mistake." 4 months isn't a mistake," she said. "It's a decision. A choice. You chose her over me every single time." Janet appeared behind David. "Naomi, please. We never meant to hurt you." Something inside Naomi snapped. She stood, rage replacing grief, and pushed past Yi-jun, walking straight up to Janet. "Never meant to hurt me," she repeated. "You never meant to hurt me. You're my sister, my blood, and you stabbed me in the back for a man. It's not like that." "Then what is it like, Janet?" Naomi demanded. "Explain it to me. Make me understand how you justify this." Janet said nothing. Naomi turned her gaze to David. "And you," Naomi said, her voice trembling with fury. "You're a coward. Too weak to break up with me. Too selfish to let me go. You wanted us both, didn't you?" "No. Don't lie. Not now. You wanted the stability I gave you and the excitement she gave you. You wanted your cake, and to eat it too." David said nothing. His silence was answer enough. Naomi felt Yi-jun's presence behind her, solid and grounding. "I hope you're happy together," she said coldly. "I hope it was worth it. Because you didn't just lose me, David. You lost my respect, my trust, my love." And Janet looked at her, tears streaming down her face. "You lost your sister." Outside the building, Naomi's hands were shaking. Her knuckles throbbed with pain. "I hit her," she whispered. "I actually hit her." "Yes," Yi-jun said calmly. "Multiple times." "Yes. I've never hit anyone before." "I know." Naomi looked up at him, bracing herself for judgment. Instead, his eyes were bright with something disturbingly close to pride. "You're not going to tell me that was wrong?" she asked. Was it satisfying? She thought about it. "Yes," she admitted quietly. "Then it wasn't wrong. That's not how morality works. She betrayed you in the worst possible way," Yi-jun said evenly. "She deserved every slap. Personally, I think you showed remarkable restraint. Restraint. You could have done much worse." The way he said it made Naomi certain he would have done much worse himself. They reached the parking garage. As Yi-jun opened the car door for her, he spoke again. "For what it's worth," he said, "watching you defend yourself, watching you finally unleash all that rage you've been holding back." He smiled. It was magnificent. Despite everything, Naomi felt a small flicker of warmth in her chest. Not happiness, but something close to satisfaction. Yi-jun drove her home in silence. Naomi stared out the window, emotionally hollowed out. When they pulled up in front of her building, he turned to her. "Do you want to come up?" he asked. "I don't have to stay. Just make sure you're okay." She should have said no, but she was exhausted from being alone. "Okay," she said. They went up to her apartment. It was small, cozy, something she had worked hard to turn into a home. Now it just felt empty. Naomi sat on the couch. Yi-jun took the chair across from her, deliberately giving her space. Can I get you anything? He asked. Water? Tea? Whiskey? He raised an eyebrow, then went into the kitchen and found the bottle. He poured 2 glasses and handed her one. Naomi downed it in one gulp. The burn grounded her. Thank you, she said quietly, for coming with me. For everything. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do, she insisted. You didn't have to show me that video. You didn't have to drive me there. You didn't have to stand there and watch while I lost control. He smiled faintly. That was the best part. She laughed despite herself. A small, broken sound, but real. Before she could reply, her phone rang. Her mother. Naomi answered. Hello. Naomi, her mother snapped. What is this I hear about you attacking your sister? Her blood ran cold. What? Janet called me, crying. She has bruises. She says you attacked her and her boyfriend. That's not what happened. Then what happened? Her mother demanded. Tell me why my daughters are fighting. Naomi closed her eyes. Of course Janet had called first. Of course she had played the victim. Mom, Naomi said carefully. That's not the whole story. Then what is the whole story? Tell me why you put your hands on your sister, her mother demanded. Because she's been sleeping with David, my fiancé, for 4 months. Naomi's voice was sharp, hard. Silence followed. What? Her mother finally said. Janet has been having an affair with David. I found out today. I confronted them both. And you hit her. Yes, Naomi said firmly. I did. Naomi. She deserved it, Mom. She betrayed me. She's been sleeping with the man I was going to marry. That doesn't give you the right to be violent. She's my sister, Naomi shouted. She's supposed to love me, protect me, have my back. Instead, she stabbed me in it. Her mother was silent for a long moment. Both of you are coming to dinner tomorrow night. 7 o'clock. We're settling this as a family. Mom. 7 o'clock. Naomi. Don't be late. She hung up. Naomi sat frozen, phone in hand, staring at nothing. What happened? Yi-jun asked, his voice gentle. Family dinner tomorrow. My mother wants to settle this. Do you want me to come? Naomi hesitated. Part of her wanted him there, his steady presence a reassurance. But this was family business. Messy, ugly family business. No, she said quietly. I need to do this alone. He nodded, though she could see the reluctance in his eyes. But thank you. For everything today. He stood, then paused at the door. Naomi. Yes. Whatever happens tomorrow, remember that you did nothing wrong. You were betrayed by the people who were supposed to love you most. Your anger is justified. Your pain is valid. Even the violence. Especially the violence. The next morning, Yi-jun went to the hospital. Not as a patient this time, but as a visitor. He found Mrs. Han in her office, reviewing paperwork. She looked up when he entered, unsurprised. Mr. Kim, to what do I owe the pleasure? I need advice. Mrs. Han set down her pen and smiled. A smile that promised she was about to enjoy herself immensely. About Naomi, I assume. Yes. Sit. Yi-jun sat, tense. Mrs. Han leaned back in her chair, studying him carefully. You're in love with her. Yes. Obsessively so. Yes. And she's just been through a devastating betrayal. Yes. So you want to know how to win her heart when it's broken into pieces. Yi-jun nodded. Mrs. Han laughed, a sharp, knowing sound. You're asking a 60-year-old woman for romantic advice. That's either very wise or very desperate. Both, Yi-jun admitted. Mrs. Han's smile widened. I like you, Mr. Kim. You're honest. Most men your age would pretend they have it all figured out. I don't have anything figured out, except that I want her, and I'll do whatever it takes. Ah, but that's your problem. What is? You think love is something you take, something you win, something you possess. Yi-jun frowned. It's not. No. Love is something you earn, something you nurture, something you surrender to. I don't understand. Mrs. Han stood and walked to the window, looking out over Seoul. Naomi is strong, independent. She survived betrayal and heartbreak and rebuilt herself every time. Do you know what a woman like that needs? What? Not someone who will cage her. Not someone who will control her. Not someone who will obsess over her every move. Mrs. Han said. Then what? Yi-jun asked. She turned to face him. She needs someone who will give her freedom and choose to stay anyway. Someone who will trust her completely. Someone who will love her without trying to own her. Yijun was quiet, absorbing her words. But I want to protect her, he said softly. Protection and control are not the same thing, she replied. You can protect someone without controlling them. You can care for someone without caging them. How? By being present without being suffocating. By showing up without demanding to know where she's been. By giving her space to breathe, while making it clear you'll be there when she needs you. Mrs. Han returned to her desk and sat down. You paid off this hospital's debt to get close to her. You investigated her life. You've been watching her, learning her, studying her like a puzzle to solve. Yijun didn't deny it. That approach will fail, she said bluntly. Because Naomi isn't a puzzle. She's a person, and people need to be met, not solved. So what do I do? He asked. You ask her what she needs, and then you give it to her, even if it hurts. And if what she needs is space, then you give her space. And if what she needs is time, then you give her time. And if what she needs is for me to walk away. Mrs. Han smiled sadly. Then you love her enough to let her go. Yijun sat back, his jaw clenched. The thought of walking away from Naomi physically hurt. But her words made sense. You're saying I need to give her control. I'm saying you need to give her choice. There's a difference between giving someone control and trusting them with their own life. And if she chooses someone else, then you weren't meant to have her. But at least you'll have loved her the right way. Yijun was silent for a long moment. Then he smiled, not his usual cold smile, but something warmer, almost amused. You're very wise, Mrs. Han. I'm 60 years old. I've seen every kind of love, the good, the bad, and the obsessive, she said pointedly. The question is, which kind do you want to be? The kind that deserves her, he said firmly. Then you know what you need to do. Yijun stood and headed for the door. At the threshold, he paused. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. The hard part is actually following through. I will. We'll see. As Yijun left, Mrs. Han returned to her paperwork, a small smile on her face. She had seen many men obsessed with women, but this was the first time she had seen one willing to learn. Maybe there was hope for him yet. Naomi arrived at her mother's house at 6:55, her stomach in knots. She knocked, and her mother opened the door, her face unreadable. Naomi, come in, her mother said. Inside, Janet sat at the dining table, and Naomi barely recognized her. Her face was swollen, bruises covered her left cheek, her lip was split, and one eye was nearly swollen shut. Naomi's guilt and satisfaction warred inside her. Her mother gestured for her to sit. They sat in tense silence for a moment before her mother spoke. Janet, tell me what happened. From the beginning. Janet's voice was small, broken. Naomi came to David's apartment yesterday. With some man. She started screaming at me, saying horrible things. And then she hit me. Why did she hit you? Janet looked down at her hands. Because I've been seeing David. Seeing him. You mean sleeping with him? Janet nodded. For how long? For months. Her mother closed her eyes and took a deep breath. And David is Naomi's fiancé. Yes. The man she was going to marry? Yes. The man she's been planning a wedding with? Yes. Her mother opened her eyes and looked at Janet with an expression Naomi had never seen before. Disgust. Pure, unadulterated disgust. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Janet's tears started falling. I didn't mean for it to happen. But it did happen. For 4 months. That's not an accident, Janet. That's a choice. 100 choices. I love him. You love him. Her mother laughed bitterly. You don't know what love is. I do. The slap came so fast Janet didn't have time to react. Her mother's hand connected with Janet's uninjured cheek. Janet cried out, hand flying to her face. You betrayed your sister, her mother said, her voice shaking with fury. Your sister who raised you, who worked herself to exhaustion to give you opportunities, who brought you to this country, who pays your rent, who has loved you unconditionally her entire life. Mom, and you repay her by sleeping with her fiancé? Her mother stood up, towering over Janet. You have destroyed this family. You have destroyed your relationship with your sister. You have proven yourself to be selfish, cruel, and undeserving of the love you've been given. Mom, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You betrayed your sister, the sister who raised you, the sister who worked 2 jobs to help pay for your school, the sister who brought you to Korea and pays your rent. She always throws that in my face. Janet shouted. It's always about what Naomi did for me. What Naomi sacrificed. I'm sick of it. So you repay her by sleeping with her fiancé? I love him. You love him. Her mother laughed bitterly. You don't know what love is, Janet. And you do. You who stayed with Dad, even when he was drinking away our money, even when he barely looked at us. Her mother's hand flew out again. The slap echoed through the room. Janet's head snapped to the side, fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. Her mother turned to Naomi. Naomi, I'm sorry. I should have believed you. It's okay, Mom. No, it's not okay. You're my daughter, and I failed you. She pulled Naomi into her arms, and finally, in her mother's embrace, Naomi let herself break. She sobbed into her mother's shoulder while her mother held her, stroking her hair the way she had when Naomi was a child. I raised you both, her mother whispered. I don't understand how one of you became so good and the other became so... She didn't finish. Naomi's mother didn't have to speak again. When Naomi finally pulled away, her mother looked at Janet with cold finality. You're not welcome in this house anymore. What? Mom, no. I don't want to see you. Not until you understand what you've done. Not until you can look your sister in the eye and truly apologize. I'm apologizing now. No. You're crying because you got caught. That's not the same thing. Her mother walked to the door and opened it. Get out. Mom, please. Get out. Janet looked at Naomi, desperate. Naomi, please. Tell her. Tell her what? Naomi asked coldly. That you deserve forgiveness? I should just get over it. I'm your sister. You stopped being my sister the moment you betrayed me. Janet grabbed her bag and stumbled toward the door. At the doorway, she turned back. You'll regret this, she said. The only thing I regret, Naomi replied quietly, is ever trusting you. She left, slamming the door behind her. The next morning, Naomi returned to work. She needed normalcy, routine. During her lunch break, Mrs. Hahn called her to the office. Sit, she said. Naomi sat. Mrs. Hahn studied her for a long moment. How are you? I've been better. I heard about what happened. With your fiancé and your sister. Of course she had heard. Mrs. Hahn always heard everything. I'm sorry you're going through this. Thank you. Kim Yi-jun came to see me yesterday. Naomi's head snapped up. He did. Yes. Asking for advice on how to win your heart. Her cheeks flushed. What did you tell him? I told him the truth. That love isn't about possession. It's about partnership. Mrs. Hahn leaned forward. But I'm going to tell you something too, Naomi. Something important. What? If you decide to give that man a chance, and I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, but if you do, you need to set the terms from the beginning. What do you mean? Men like Kim Yi-jun, they're used to getting what they want. They're used to control. They don't understand boundaries naturally. You have to teach them. How? By being crystal clear about what you will and won't accept. By drawing lines and enforcing them. By making it clear that you're not something to be owned, but someone to be earned. Naomi thought about that. He's very intense. Yes, and that intensity can be beautiful, or it can be suffocating. The difference is whether he respects your autonomy. Do you think he can? Mrs. Hahn smiled. I think he's willing to try. Whether he succeeds is up to both of you. 2 days later, Yi-jun called. Can I see you? Naomi had been avoiding him, processing everything, but she couldn't avoid him forever. Okay, the cafe near the hospital. 1 hour. When she arrived, he was already there. He looked different somehow, less predatory, more vulnerable. Hi, she said, sliding into the seat across from him. Hi. Silence stretched for a moment. Then they both spoke at once.